New Year's resolutions, do they work, how to make it work. Today I'm going to give you a tip which will guarantee success in New Year's resolutions in 2022. We all know about New Year's resolutions. Everybody makes them, and after a few weeks they always fail. I used to go to a gym once, and I used to always be irritated in January, February and March because they would get loads of people in, we'd double our numbers and it would be crowded. But I always knew that by April the 1st, they'd all be gone. And this is the problem with New Year's resolutions. People do something and they can't keep it up. And there's many reasons why New Year's resolutions don't work. Like one of the key reasons why is, aiming too high. Like I want to lose 100 pounds, or maybe losing 30 pounds or 40 pounds to be more realistic, etc. But there's also a kind of bigger, broader thing here, okay? When we think of New Year's resolutions, we have to think of sustainability, okay? So things like it takes 21 days to create a habit. But even a habit won't last in the wrong situations. If, say for example, you like drinking alcohol, you decide to go drinking alcohol, and you go every Saturday night with your pals, we're all drinking alcohol, and you keep this up for a while. Well, after 21 days, in theory, it should be a habit to not drink alcohol. But in reality, if your friends are asking you every Saturday night to drink alcohol, chances are you'll go back to drink alcohol, okay? We see this with, say, drug addicts, for example. Usually the biggest problem is they're surrounded by other people who are drug addicts, and they inevitably fall off the wagon. So it's not just enough that I'll do something to make it a habit. I also have to make my situation around me conducive. Now, one thing you might have heard of, is quite popular these days, is the law of attraction, okay? The law of attraction, you might think it's crazy, you might think it's good. Personally, I think there is something in the law of attraction. I do feel the law of attraction works, but nobody can seem to get it to work exactly the way we'd like it to. What does the law of attraction say? The law of attraction basically says that what you think about and feel about on a repetitive basis and visualize about, you'll bring about. So there used to be the idea of positive thinking. Think positive thoughts, positive things will happen. But the law of attraction is more about think positive thoughts, feel the success, because the feelings will bring you the success you need, and visualize the success, okay? And believe the success, okay? Have faith in the success. So you're sucking it all in. But even that tends not to work for most people. So why doesn't that work? And I tell you, the biggest reason why is back to this idea I just said to you a few seconds ago, that a lot of people who are into, say, drinking, and they want to give up alcohol, but they still hang out with their buddies on Saturday night. Or somebody wants to give up drugs, but they're still living in a community, everybody's full of drugs, and all their mates and their neighbors, and everybody's taking drugs. They actually have to move. The person who is struggling to not drink alcohol because their friends are drinking alcohol needs to stop drinking with them, at least for a while. The person who is a recovering addict needs to move away from the addicts and literally don't have anything to do with all the other addicts, which is that's the real challenge, because they'll always want to go back to that baseline. And once they're doing it, you'll be doing it, okay? But also, let's say you want to lose weight. As long as you're applying your will, yeah, you can lose weight, but as soon as you stop applying your will, what will happen? You want to make yourself study, you can force yourself to study, but as soon as you get tired of forcing yourself, what's going to happen? So we have to create situations that are conducive. And even if we use the law of attraction to get excited and interested and visualize what we want to achieve, we want to achieve some great scores in our exams, or we want to push our career to a higher level, or our sport to a higher level, or we want to fulfill our dreams and travel the world and do all sorts of things. As long as you're living in a paradigm is a worldview that's not conducive, you can't change it. So you have to change your paradigm. But beyond that, not only do you have to change your paradigm, you have to change your surroundings to make them more conducive in a way. So how do you really shift the law of attraction to help us fulfill our New Year's resolutions? First thing here is make your resolutions realistic. Don't be off the Richter scale. The second thing is to use baby steps. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty is use the law of attraction. But don't just have like you might create a script for yourself. You might create a visualization. You might have auto suggestions. You might have pictures on your wall of that car you want, or that that result that you want, or that holiday destination you want to go to this year. You have to use immersion. What is immersion? Immersion, I would say, is the number one thing. Okay. The reason why the law of attraction actually works is that your subconscious mind does not know reality, okay? Your subconscious mind does not know reality. Your subconscious mind gives you whatever it thinks you want. So I give an example. I remember years ago I was in the gym lifting weights, and I used to have a friend of mine, and he said, I never worry about the weight you lift because your muscles do not know how much weight you're lifting. And it's a very good point. Because there's a tendency in thinking they have to lift heavier and heavier weights. And yeah, in general, heavier and heavier weights will make you bigger. But some people get more and more obsessed with the heavy weights and don't focus on things like the rhythm they're moving at, how many reps they do, how much they push the muscles. They're just into the weight. And if you want to get maximum benefit from muscle gain, you need to have time under tension. You need to put a lot of effort in, and it's not so much the weight, but that the muscles are constantly working, rather than just throwing the weight around the place, okay? So it's the same thing with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind does not have an ego. Your subconscious mind, the closest thing I can say your subconscious mind is a bit like your car, or maybe your phone. Like these embedded devices, you get into a car, it automatically sticks on the AC, it does all sorts of things automatically, your phone will adjust things. All these devices, they don't have artificial intelligence, they have a kind of embedded devices that do certain things based on algorithms, okay? I live in a hot country, I live in India, I hop in my car, automatically switches onto AC because it's preset for India. And your subconscious mind is like that. It has presets, some of them are genetic presets, and other presets are just things that it picked up along the way, especially when you're young. So your subconscious mind is just giving you what it thinks you want, okay? You are like the wish master, and the subconscious mind is like the wish maker or giver. You send a wish to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind tries to give you what you want. The reason why there's an issue is the subconscious mind gets mixed messages, and it thinks you want what you don't want. And this is why it's very important to have, to tell your subconscious mind what you want. This is where things like auto-suggestion comes in. Tell your subconscious mind the goals you want, the results you want. And then also you have to do things like visualize and have the feelings. So let's say, for example, you want to do really great in, say, academics. Well, you list the goals you want to do. You visualize yourself achieving those goals. You put your emotion in. You see yourself getting that gold medal for academic achievement, or getting that pay rise, or you see yourself on that beautiful island, or running that wonderful business. You literally set down the goal. You explain the stages of the goal. You visualize, create a script, and create a whole visualization about achieving that. And on a regular basis, like on a daily basis, you enter into that and have a little visualization practice, plus auto-suggestion throughout the day. And you visualize yourself and feel it, and make yourself like an actor. Feel yourself, you're getting into that thing and you're achieving that thing. That's how the law of attraction works. But with immersion, what I would add to that is the reason why it works is you're programming your subconscious. The person who uses the law of attraction is programming their subconscious mind better than the person who doesn't. The reason why your subconscious mind is so powerful is your conscious mind will tire after half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. Your subconscious mind doesn't have that. It doesn't have an ego. Your ego gets tired. But because there's no ego in the subconscious, it does not get tired, and it will keep working and working and working and working on whatever you set it as a task to do. Great scientists have achieved great things by setting goals and focus so much on their work, and then at night time they get amazing dreams, which gives them insights, which helps them fulfill their dreams. And you can do the same thing. Writers do the same thing. Artists do the same thing. Inventors do the same thing. Business people do the same thing. And you can do the same thing. But the thing I'm adding here, I'm suggesting, is immersion. The reason why the law of attraction works is it's an efficient way of depositing the message. The problem we have, the way we're designed is you, the ego, create the desire. You, the ego, create the goal. And you send it to the subconscious mind, you direct it, and it works on achieving the goal. But we don't do that efficiently. And we can do it more efficiently using the techniques of the law of attraction. But where immersion comes in, and this is what the key, what I would say is, immersion is going beyond just using tools, because you can have a lot of stuff going on in your life. You can be visualizing stuff, writing stuff, having auto-suggestions. But other things, for example, are you actually doing the work? Okay? So let's say you're creative. Let's say you're a musician and you want to go and release an album and you want to become a successful musician who can sell albums, for example, okay? it's not enough that you create a script or you have an auto suggestion or you have a visualization. You need to do some music, have a go at making music, learn some instruments, learn some editing, meet other people. These days it's easier than it used to be. It used to be you'd have to go to a music shop and put a piece of paper looking to create a band. Now it's very difficult. Nowadays you can meet a lot of people online socially and interact with them. And you need to start interacting with these people. Create your own YouTube channel, upload your music, share it on social media, share it with other people. And by doing that, you're doing the work as well. Because you see, it's like we always say these stories of, say, a famous actor that they were just doing some bitty part somewhere, and next thing they got a shot at a big role and they became a star. But what people don't realize is that maybe for the previous 10 years, they say, oh, for 10 years this actor was unknown, the next he became a big star. But what people don't realize is for 10 years they were honing their craft, okay? I'll give you a great example of this. Here's two great examples from history genre, if you can remember these guys, if you don't, Google them. Peter Cushing, okay, and Christopher Lee. These were famous in the Hammer House horror movies, Dracula in particular. And if you look at Peter Cushing, he became an actor. He's an English guy, he did acting. He actually went out to Hollywood, he lived in Hollywood, he knew a lot of Hollywood actors, and he did a lot of work, but he never became famous, and he lived there for about 10 years and was actually hanging around with famous people. Like, he was doing everything you're supposed to do. He went to Hollywood, he met these people, he hung out with these people, he found the famous people and hung around with them, became friends, lived in their house, rented houses with them and all this sort of stuff. But it never worked for him. Then he went back to the UK and he was jobbing as an actor in the UK. And then eventually, he's around 40 years of age, or early 40s, he got his starting role. I think it was Frankenstein was the first one, and then followed up with Dracula and so on. And that launched his career and became world famous as a horror icon. We also have Christopher Lee, who played Dracula, the original, the most famous Dracula's Bela Lugosi, next one, of course, Christopher Lee. And Christopher Lee was, after World War II, he was served in the army, he wanted to do acting, and he became a jobbing actor for about 10 years. Yes? So he was a jobbing actor. And Christopher Lee, very handsome guy, very charming, but he's 6'5", and he's a little bit dark looking compared to the average white guy those days. And people thought he was too tall and too foreign looking, and he wasn't getting much of a shot. Although he had a contract, he was doing low-level movies, and then he did Frankenstein. He was the Frankenstein monster, and him and Peter Cushing, they took off and they became Dracula and did loads of things, the Lord of the Rings, all that sort of stuff. He was Count Dooku in Star Wars. So those two guys, he was in his mid-30s. So, you know, Christopher Lee was a professional actor for about 10 years before he made a break. Peter Cushing was a professional actor for probably 20 plus years before he made a break. But they're developing their crafts. That's the first thing. You see, it's not enough just to go and do all this law of attraction stuff. I've got to actually develop my craft. There's a nice thing going around these days about the 10,000 hour rule. And the idea is that in 10,000 hours, the average person can master their craft. And of course, some people can master craft in 5,000, some will be in 20,000. But it's a nice idea. The idea of 10,000, that's about 5 years of full-time work, 2,000 hours a year for the average job. So the concept is nice, the 10,000 hour rule. So not only should you be working towards your goals, you should be mastering your craft, whatever that is. If you're a student, your craft is becoming like an academic. If you're a business person, it's becoming an entrepreneur. If you're a sports person, it's becoming an athlete. If you're a musician or an artist, for example, it's becoming that artist. And so you should be mastering whatever skills you need. If it's weight loss, you should start learning everything you need to know about weight loss, okay? If it's weight gain, learn everything you need to know about weight gain, okay? Whatever it is, you should be mastering their craft. And now you're actually applying yourself. And there's a difference between having a fantasy that I'm going to be in a certain career and I'm going to be on the beach, I'm going to be successful, and actually going and do it. Let's say, for example, you're a business person, you want to become rich, you want to be living on the beach and all that stuff with your laptop. Okay, it's a very popular image these days. But how are you going to get there? And the reality is you should start a business, even a small business. And then once you do that, it's real. And maybe it's tough, but it's real. And your learning is 10 times higher when you're applying yourself, okay? Now you're getting into immersion. So immersion isn't just having auto suggestions and a goal and a script and a visualization, but it's also having real world application. That's where you really learn is in the real world. And the final part of immersion is you could be doing this. You could be having auto suggestions and scripts, and you could be pursuing, say, like an entrepreneur career or music career or a business career, corporate career, academic, whatever. But then there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening in your life as well. And it's sometimes you're really on, sometimes you're off, and sometimes you're available and sometimes you're not. No, that's not immersion. Immersion is 24 hours a day. So you got to start building your life around your dreams. And when you start building your life around your dreams, you're changing the narrative of your life. And as you change the narrative of your life, your paradigm will automatically change. Okay? The example I like to give a lot when I'm teaching is the example of, I'm going to use the example of Canada, okay? So if you're Canadians, think of somewhere else, all right? But the example of Canada. So let's say I'm living in India, and or let's say somebody's living in India. I say to them, okay, you're living in India. Imagine tomorrow some family member, say your mom, your dad, whatever, or your husband, wife, says, let's go to Canada. And it just sounds outrageous, and it's silly, and it's ridiculous. And next thing you're looking at how you do it. You start to Google it, you start looking at options, you talk to some agency or something like that, you start looking for jobs, you end up going on a holiday to go and have a look around, and you start talking about schools and bring up with the kids into school, and suddenly now the narrative is we're all on the way to Canada. And it's like, it's got to happen. It's like in that, the stage comes when you do some new action. Initially it's ridiculous, and then it looks like it's going to fail, and then a stage comes when it's going through. It's 100%, nothing's going to stop. It's 100%, all, everything's open, it's going to happen. Okay, same if you're buying a house. Initially, you're looking around, and then you're trying to buy a house, and this is failing, and that's falling, because usually you try and buy houses, things tend to fall through a bit, and then suddenly there's a stage when everything's moving. And it's like there's a momentum, nothing's going to stop us now, okay? So if I bungled you into, say, a wheelbarrow, and I shot you down a hill, you've now got a lot of momentum. You might be shouting and screaming and scared, and you might fall out at the bottom, but the point is, it's almost impossible to stop when that momentum is there. That's immersion. Find out what you really want and immerse yourself, and use techniques like the law of attraction, which means things like auto-suggestion, the scripts, and visualization, using your feelings, but also try and get into that thing yourself and immerse your life more and more. It doesn't mean that you should ignore other people, but you need to immerse yourself in the main goal you want. And to some degree, in the smaller goals, you have to immerse yourself. And this is the one trick I would say to you today that will really help your New Year's resolutions. Immerse yourself, find a goal, and then work towards actualizing the goal by immersing your life, that your life becomes a goal. When your life becomes a goal, even though the goal hasn't arrived yet, when your life becomes the goal, you're doing all the things you should be doing if that was your goal, success will come. Maybe not immediately, but it will come bit by bit by bit by bit, because you've changed the narrative and your subconscious mind is bending over backwards to getting you there. Okay? Whether you're going to get exactly there depends on lots of factors like your genetics and life opportunities and how good you are and how specific the goal is. If the goal is becoming an astronaut, for example, it's very difficult because there's a lot of factors outside your control to become an astronaut. But if it's to become wealthy or healthy or have better relationships or have a nicer physique or do really well in exams or get good corporate jobs, that's very easy. Okay, all the regular stuff is easy. There are some things which are very, very, very specific, and perhaps becoming, say, the world's next snooker champion, world champion. Well, there's a certain aptitude required, plus all the work as well. Okay, so that's my advice to you today. Get immersing, and then you'll get where you need to go because you're directing yourself accurately. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. I'll talk to you next time.